Crawford needs to fight Teofimo first, and then we'll see, right? At the end of the day, like I said before, I'm not asking for that fight. They want to make that fight because it's a payday, obviously, but I don't want that fight. I think.
At 36 years old, Terence Crawford is making it clear that he's only interested in legacy-defining fights, and right now, none seem bigger than the potential showdown against Saul Canelo Alvarez.
You want financials?
Tell him we going for Canelo next.
Yes. Let's go. Canelo, come on.
You heard it from him?
For months, Crawford has been eyeing a bout with the Mexican superstar, seeing it as the perfect way to cement his status as one of the greatest fighters of this era. With His Excellency Turkey on his side, it seems that they have successfully bought Canelo, with Canelo finally agreeing to the fight. Crawford is coming off a career-defining victory where he dominated Errol Spence Jr., unifying the welterweight division and solidifying his name in the history books. In that fight, Crawford, also known as Bud, showcased everything that makes him special. From the opening bell, it was clear that Spence, a fighter once regarded as his biggest threat, was simply no match. Crawford's accuracy, power, and ring intelligence left Spence overwhelmed. He controlled every round before stopping him in the ninth, becoming the first male fighter in the four-belt era to be undisputed in 2 weight classes. Now, Crawford is setting his sights even higher. After his stunning performance against Spence, he is targeting Canelo Alvarez, a fighter 3 weight divisions above him and arguably the biggest star in boxing. For Crawford, this fight is about legacy. He is not chasing easy wins or smaller challenges. He wants to be remembered as the best, and a fight with Canelo seems to offer that opportunity.
But I see he wants to fight. He's made it clear. Do fights like that help your legacy, or do you feel like that's something that's not worth it to you?
Everything in my career, every fight make my legacy different and better. No, Terence Crawford is a great fighter. He's a good fighter, but like I say, he's a weight classes for a reason.
Canelo, on the other hand, has been hesitant about facing the naturally smaller Crawford. Despite Crawford's incredible accomplishments, Canelo has repeatedly downplayed the possibility of the fight, stating that he wouldn't get credit for beating a smaller opponent. Canelo, who fights at 168 lbs, views Crawford, who last fought at 147, as someone who is simply not in his league when it comes to size and power. Initially, Canelo dismissed Crawford's challenge outright. He even suggested that Crawford should face Teofimo Lopez first, an idea that many saw as a way for Canelo to avoid the fight. But Crawford wasn't backing down. As more and more fans and analysts began calling for the fight, the pressure on Canelo began to mount. Crawford, relentless as ever, continued to call him out publicly, and the demand for the fight only grew. Things took an interesting turn after Canelo's recent fight against Edgar Berlanga. The Mexican superstar squared off against Berlanga in what many expected to be a routine victory for Canelo. Berlanga, though undefeated, was seen as a heavy underdog and not on the same level as Canelo. Yet Berlanga surprised everyone with his toughness and resilience. The fight started as many predicted, with Canelo dominating early. In the third round, Canelo landed a flush left hook that sent Berlanga crashing to the canvas. At that moment, it seemed like the fight was heading toward an early knockout, but Berlanga had other ideas. He got up, banged his gloves together in frustration, and fought on. Although Canelo won the fight convincingly on the scorecards, Berlanga managed to go the full 12 rounds, something not many expected. The fight ended in a unanimous decision, with the judges scoring it heavily in Canelo's favor. Canelo connected on nearly 50% of his power punches, a statistic that underscored his dominance. However, the fact that he couldn't stop Berlanga raised some questions. Canelo hasn't secured a knockout since his 11th round stoppage of Caleb Plant in November 2021. And this was now his 5th consecutive fight going the distance. Some fans are beginning to wonder whether the once lethal finisher has lost some of his power. Though his loyal supporters remain as devoted as ever, Canelo's inability to put Berlanga away may not have mattered much to his fans, but it certainly added an interesting dimension to the conversations about his future opponents. Despite his victory, Canelo's attention quickly shifted to what comes next. During the post-fight press conference, he was asked about potential future opponents, including Crawford. Initially, Canelo refused to comment on the possibility of facing Crawford, a move that seemed to reinforce his previous stance of dismissing the fight. But behind the scenes, something was changing. Well, as it turns out, the financial offer for a Crawford fight has increased significantly.
Across town, put out an open challenge to you on the internet with Turkey Al-Sheikh calling you out. What's your response to Terence Crawford's call out tonight?
No comment.
We remember that Canelo was criticized for the amount of money he was asking for this fight, and it was one reason that His Excellency and even Oscar de la Hoya saw it as unrealistic. But it seems after what Canelo displayed after Berlanga, Team Crawford and the Saudis saw Canelo putting on a lower performance. Perhaps it's this questionable performance that has pushed their confidence that Crawford can indeed put down Canelo, therefore now giving in to his money requests. As one of the highest-paid athletes in the world,
There's a man in Canelo, a legend who recognizes another young beast. Well done on both these.
Canelo's decisions are often influenced by the purse, and this time was no different. While Canelo had previously dismissed Crawford, the money on the table now seemed to have caught his attention. Now Canelo is finally willing to entertain the idea of fighting Crawford, but with one key condition. The terms of the fight have to make sense financially. Given Canelo's star power and the fact that he commands some of the highest paydays in the sport,
realistically left your mind once he said he's not interested, or you're still pursuing it?
Not at all. I think business talk.
this condition isn't surprising. For Crawford, this could be the break he's been waiting for. Canelo's openness to the fight has reignited the conversation around this potential megabout. The clash between two undisputed champions from different weight classes would be a historic event, drawing massive attention from fans all over the world. For Crawford, the stakes couldn't be higher. This would be the ultimate legacy fight, a chance to move up 3 divisions and face one of the greatest fighters of the modern era.
I'm easy work. I heard him say, I'm easy work. If I was easy work, well, you would take all that money that he's offering you. But yet and still, he want $200 million for Benavidez, and he want $150 million to fight me. So that just lets me know right there that I'm a threat to him. I'm a threat to him. I'm a threat to his.
While Crawford's eyes are totally on Canelo, Canelo may end up choosing another opponent. Canelo's camp has other options on the table as well. One of the more talked about possibilities is a rematch with Dmitry Bivol, the Russian heavyweight champion who handed Canelo his second professional loss in May 2022. Bivol's victory over Canelo was a convincing one, with Bivol using his size and skill to outbox the Mexican superstar over 12 rounds.
The crazy stuff about me going up and having a tough time, but he went up in weight and lost. That's the difference. I went up weight and won. He went up and lost. So let's.
Canelo has been eyeing a rematch ever since, but negotiations have stalled due to Bivol's demands. Interestingly, Bivol has stated multiple times that he is willing to drop down to 168 lbs for the rematch, aiming to prove that his victory wasn't just a result of his size advantage. If Bivol were to move down to super middleweight and fight Canelo, the fight would take on a whole new significance. However, with Bivol currently set to face BBV in a light heavyweight unification bout in October, the timing for a Canelo-Bivol rematch remains uncertain. Another option for Canelo is to continue defending his super middleweight titles against younger, undefeated contenders. Fighters like Christian Andilli and Diego Pacho are both ranked highly in the super middleweight division and could provide fresh challenges for Canelo. Andilli, in particular, is known for his aggressive all-action style, which could make for an exciting matchup. However, neither Andilli nor Pacho is seen as a serious threat to dethrone Canelo.
Look at that. Sensational. Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol.
Even with these options, it's clear that a fight with Crawford holds the most intrigue. The financial incentives are enormous. and the fight would undoubtedly be one of the biggest events in recent boxing history. For Canelo, this would be an opportunity to silence critics who believe he has been avoiding the most dangerous challenges in recent years. For Crawford, it's a chance to prove that he can compete and perhaps even win against one of the sport's greatest fighters despite the size disadvantage. The logistics of the fight would need to be worked out, particularly around weight. Canelo typically fights at 168 lbs, while Crawford's last bout was at 147. A catch weight seems like the most likely solution, but the exact number would be a point of negotiation. Both fighters would also need to agree on the purse, with Canelo likely commanding the lion's share given his star power and drawing ability. As things stand, the fight hasn't been officially announced, but with the money right and Canelo finally accepting the idea, all signs are pointing toward it becoming a reality. With both fighters expressing interest and the financial aspects starting to align, it seems only a matter of time before this historic clash is set in motion. While Canelo has made it clear that the financial terms must be right, the growing interest in the fight from fans, media, and promoters suggests that those terms will likely be met. As Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez inch closer to the possibility of a blockbuster fight,
Canelo, Johnny Boy Boxing, Fight Hype. I just want to ask you, what do you think about Terence Crawford? What do we think about Terence Crawford's performance, and do you want to get a fight with him?
If the money is right, I mean...
$100 million? I heard Turkey offered you a big money already.
the conversation continues to revolve around both the challenges and rewards that a bout of this magnitude would bring. Like Alvarez, Crawford is no stranger to success. He has conquered 4 weight classes and established himself as one of boxing's top pound-for-pound fighters. However, for Crawford to challenge Alvarez for his super middleweight crowns, it would require an enormous leap both literally and figuratively. Crawford would need to move up 2 weight classes to challenge Alvarez. It's a massive jump for any fighter, but especially for Crawford, who has only fought once above the welterweight limit of 147 lbs. His lone fight at 154 lbs against Uzbekistan's Israil Madrimov ended in a unanimous decision victory on August 3rd in Los Angeles. However, his cautious and tactical approach in that fight raised questions about whether he can handle the size, strength, and power of elite fighters at higher weight classes. This dynamic adds a layer of intrigue to a potential Crawford-Alvarez showdown. Canelo himself has voiced concerns about not receiving the credit he deserves if he were to defeat Crawford. Despite Crawford's unbeaten record of 40-0 with 31 knockouts, the Mexican superstar believes that the narrative of Crawford being a smaller, naturally lighter fighter would overshadow his potential victory. Alvarez has made it clear that defeating Crawford would not be considered as impressive as beating a true super middleweight contender like David Benavidez, for example. But even with that, he still hasn't fought Benavidez. The size disparity is also why Alvarez is reportedly demanding a 9-figure payday to face Crawford. Such a massive financial request highlights the risks involved for Alvarez, as he would be expected to win. But any slip-up could tarnish his reputation, and even if he does emerge victorious, critics may downplay the accomplishment due to Crawford's smaller frame and limited experience at higher weights. Still, this fight has captured the imagination of fans and media alike. Despite the weight difference, it represents a clash between 2 pound-for-pound kings, each looking to cement his legacy in the sport. Crawford, despite the odds, remains the most appealing option for Alvarez if the Mexican star chooses not to fight Benavidez. The hard-hitting, undefeated WBC interim super middleweight champ, Benavidez, would be a formidable opponent. Although Crawford would enter the fight as a heavy underdog, the matchup itself would generate significant attention from mainstream media and create massive revenue streams, positioning it as arguably the biggest fight in boxing at the moment. However, there are complications that go beyond just weight classes and paydays. One of the major challenges in making this fight a reality is Alvarez's relationship with Turkey's Errol. Errol has emerged as one of the most powerful figures in boxing over the past year, particularly due to the enormous sums of money he has injected into the sport. However, Alvarez's unwillingness to fight Benavidez has led to a public falling out between the two. Errol recently took to social media to criticize Alvarez for avoiding the fight with Benavidez, escalating tensions between them. Despite the war of words, The vast sums of money at stake have a way of smoothing over such differences. Alvarez is already one of the richest athletes in boxing, having earned more money than his family could spend over multiple generations. But as he has proven throughout his career, he's as much of a businessman as he is a fighter. If the financial offer for a fight with Crawford is lucrative enough, Alvarez may be willing to put aside his feud with Al-Sheikh to make the fight happen. Interestingly, Alvarez has shown that he's willing to endure criticism if it means securing the right fight. His recent decision to fight Edgar Berlanga, an opponent who many considered unworthy of the opportunity, drew criticism from fans. Still, Alvarez pressed forward, understanding that as long as the business aspect made sense, the scrutiny was something he could handle. The same principle applies to a fight with Crawford. Despite Crawford being smaller and less experienced at higher weights, his status as an elite, undefeated fighter and a future Hall of Famer would bring enough credibility and intrigue to make the fight a commercial success. In many ways, Alvarez and Crawford need each other to make the biggest fight possible. At this point in their careers, both fighters are nearing the end of their respective journeys in the ring, and each has accomplished nearly everything there is to achieve in the sport. However, neither fighter is particularly interested in facing the younger, hungrier challengers in their own divisions. For Crawford, that means bypassing dangerous welterweights like WBC interim super welterweight champion Virgil Ortiz Jr. and IBF champion Jaron Bouts Ennis. While these fights would certainly bolster his resume, they don't offer the same financial or legacy-defining rewards as a fight with Alvarez. Crawford, who turns 37 in September, understands the business side of boxing just as well as Alvarez does. He knows that a fight with Alvarez could earn him a 9-figure payday, aligning him with Al-Sheikh and making the bout even more feasible from a financial perspective. Rather than take on the risks associated with fighting younger, dangerous opponents like Ortiz or Ennis, Crawford seems intent on betting it all against a bigger, stronger, elite-level fighter in Alvarez. Of course, this decision hasn't come without criticism. Some have accused Crawford of chasing a payday instead of greatness, suggesting that he is looking for an easier path to a large financial reward. But Crawford remains unapologetic. He has made it clear that at this stage of his career, he's looking for the biggest challenges and the biggest paydays. Right now, Alvarez offers both. For now, all we know is Crawford can't wait to meet Canelo in the ring. He took to social media after Canelo's most recent bout, posting on X a simple but bold statement. "Put me in the game, coach." It was a direct message, clearly signaling his readiness to step up and face Alvarez, the current king of the super middleweight division. It's no secret that Crawford has been eyeing Alvarez for some time, but his recent social media declaration feels like a serious push toward making this fight a reality. With an unbeaten record, Crawford is a 4-division world champion and sits comfortably among the top pound-for-pound fighters in the sport. However, a fight against Alvarez, who fights 2 weight classes above him at 168 lbs, would require Crawford to move up significantly. It's a daunting task, but one that could cement his legacy if he pulls off the upset. Turkey's Al-Sheikh has added more fuel to the fire. Al-Sheikh, who has become one of boxing's biggest power players, stated after Crawford's win last month that he's willing to put serious money on the table to make the fight happen. According to ESPN's Mike Coppinger, Al-Sheikh said, "I will give Canelo what I think is a fair price if he accepts it. He deals directly with me to finish the deal. I don't want anyone in the middle. I guarantee Crawford a big fight. I want Canelo for Crawford and Crawford wants Canelo." Al-Sheikh's comments revealed just how committed he is to securing this blockbuster fight.
You want financials?
Tell him we going for Canelo next.
Yes. Let's go. Canelo, come on.
Which has the potential to generate massive global attention. His statement also suggests that he's willing to negotiate directly with Alvarez and bypassing any promotional middleman. This kind of direct approach could help streamline the process and avoid some of the usual complications that often arise when dealing with boxing contracts. However, there is a catch. Al-Sheikh hinted at a potential stumbling block: Canelo's financial demands. But if Canelo is crazy with his financial demands, I will still guarantee Crawford any fight he wants.
Before, and this is my opinion, I don't start to talking about these things. He start and he said he respect me, but he doesn't like what we are doing in boxing. That's why I said what I said.
Al-Sheikh continued, making it clear that while he is fully committed to bringing Alvarez and Crawford together, he won't let excessive demands derail Crawford's chances for a big payday. With that now figured out, we might be seeing a fight between Canelo and Crawford soon. What do you think? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more updates. See you in the next one.